Hey everyone, Dale Blassingame here, and welcome to our module on how journalists and communicators are using these drones. And what better way to talk about that than to actually show you how they're doing it?
But before we do that, we do need to talk about some really important things regarding drones and journalism. Of course, I want to jump right into all the great examples, but we need to have these basics down before we see all the cool stuff that drones can do. A lot of the readings that you're going to have this week or in this module touch on the topics that we're going to discuss right here and right now. The simple fact is, this little girl has a better shot of flying a drone legally than we do as journalists. And that says a lot about the current legal situation regarding them right now. We'll touch on this in great detail in the upcoming module on legal and ethical issues. But as of right now, this little girl, if she's a hobbyist and not publishing, can go out and fly a drone where a journalist cannot. So you can imagine the problem that a lot of journalists have with this. You're going to read one article where they say it's a First Amendment issue, that the FAA is limiting our journalistic rights in this country. So that's obviously a huge issue. This is Matt Waite. He's the head of the University of Nebraska's drone journalism lab. You're probably going to hear a lot about him in the coming week or two. Ben Kramer actually was a student of Matt's, so when you get to meet Ben at the workshop, he and Matt worked together. Matt has taken the step of getting his pilot's license to get around these rules and regulations. So I think you read an article about him in the introduction. We'll get much more into that situation in the legal discussion, but it just goes to show the lengths that journalists are having to go in order to be able to use drones to help tell a story. So you see the dilemma that we're in. You see the situation that journalists have been put in. The hurdles we're having to jump simply to use a drone out in the field. A couple of the major issues, and again, we're going to do this in much more detail in the upcoming legal and ethical module, but I want to touch on these quickly, and the articles will as well this week. One thing that journalists are struggling with right now is, do we fly over crowds? It's an obvious safety concern if we do, if the drone loses battery power and crashes into this crowd, something along those lines. It's not exactly set in stone. It might be in the upcoming FAA proposal, which again we'll talk about here in a little bit. But right now, that is one of the things that journalists who are able to use them are questioning. The other one is privacy. So drones allow us to get into a lot of places where we would not normally be able to get into. And so it becomes an issue of how much is too much when it comes to privacy concerns. So you'll be reading about that this week in the articles. Another really interesting article you're going to read this week compares the drone laws and regulations to that of the self-driving car rules and regulations. Whereas drones have this very negative connotation and all these restrictions on them, we're pretty good with self-driving cars. You know, little 5-pound drone flying in the air, by all means, we cannot use it. 2,000-pound car driving itself down the street. They're testing these in Austin now, so this is happening right here in our area. We have no problem with them, and we're all pretty cool with the self-driving car. It sounds awesome. We should do it. So I love that the author, Sally French, who is known as Drone Girl, I love that she puts these two in comparison, and so pay close attention to that article as well. The last thing I'll mention before I send you on your way to read and watch all these great examples of drone journalism is that it's not just taking pictures or shooting video. Drones can also do great things when it comes to 3D modeling. So you're going to see some of Ben Kramer's work actually involving 3D modeling. It helps communities with those issues. So explore the Nairobi dump project that Ben has been a part of, and you see that this is more than simply just a video gathering tool or a picture taking tool. These are tools that can truly change lives, change communities, and tell very important stories from a perspective that we have not seen before, and at a relatively cheap price when you compare it to a helicopter and bulky cameras. So with that, I send you on your way. Read a couple of articles that I have listed on the module, and I've got a bunch of videos for you to watch. They're not really long. They're basically just news clips. And then you have a forum post and a quiz to take for this. So enjoy checking out all the cool things involving drone journalism.